NASA has made a shocking detection of a massive object which appears to be trying to dock with the International Space Station. While the subject of unidentified alien objects has long been confined to the realm of conspiracy, newly declassified files have proven that the government has been tracking these objects for decades. Let's take a closer look. One question that gets brought up regularly is that if UFOs are real, where are all the aliens? The Fermi paradox seeks to answer these questions. This idea states that given that our solar system is quite young compared to the rest of the universe, roughly 4.5 billion years old compared to 13.8 billion, and that interstellar travel might be fairly easy to achieve given enough time, Earth should have been visited by aliens already. The paradox takes its name from Nobel Prize-winning physicist Enrico Fermi, who supposedly made these famous points during a casual lunchtime conversation in 1950. And the implications have had astrobiologists and other scientists scratching their heads in the decades since. Fermi grasped that any civilization with a modest amount of rocket technology and an immodest amount of imperial incentive could rapidly colonize the entire galaxy. Within a few tens of millions of years, every star system could be brought under the wing of an empire. Tens of millions of years may sound like a long project, but in fact it's quite short compared to the age of the galaxy, which is roughly 1,000 times more. Fermi died in 1954, so exploration and explanation of the idea fell to other people, such as Michael Hart, who wrote an article titled An Explanation for the Absence of Extraterrestrials on Earth in the Royal Astronomical Society Quarterly Journal in 1975. Hart argued that intelligent aliens could already have visited Earth at some point in our planet's history, unless they started their journey less than 2 million years ago. He thought the apparent lack of such visits is most likely due to the lack of intelligent aliens. However, he outlined other potential explanations as well. One is that aliens never came here because of a physical difficulty that makes space travel infeasible, which could be related to astronomy, biology, or engineering. He also states that they may simply have chosen not to visit us, or perhaps they already have at some point, but we've not observed them. The universe is incredibly vast and old. Data gathered by a variety of telescopes show that the observable universe is about 92 billion light-years wide. So alien civilizations have had plenty of time to arise and spread, but they also likely must cross a vast cosmic gulf to get to us. When Fermi made his famous remark, the only planets scientists knew about were in our own solar system. But in 1992, astronomers spotted worlds circling a super-dense stellar corpse known as a pulsar. And a few years later, the first exoplanet around a sun-like star was confirmed. There are now more than 4,500 confirmed exoplanets, with more being found every year. The sheer number of alien worlds suggests that life may be plentiful throughout the cosmos. Over time, with more advanced telescopes, scientists will be able to probe the chemical compositions of some nearby exoplanets' atmospheres. Nearby is a relative term, however. The closest known exoplanet, Proxima b, lies about 4.2 light-years away, which is roughly 25 trillion miles. The eventual goal is to understand how often rocky planets form in the habitable zone of their parent stars, which is traditionally defined as the range of orbital distances in which water can exist on a world's surface. Habitability isn't just about water, however. Other factors must be considered as well, such as the host star's activity and the planet's atmospheric composition. Such caveats notwithstanding, there does seem to be plenty of habitable real estate out there. For example, a November 2013 study using data from NASA's Kepler Space Telescope suggested that 1 in 5 sun-like stars has a roughly Earth-sized planet orbiting in the habitable zone. Such missions and instruments will help scientists flesh out their understanding of astrobiology, which remains relatively primitive. For instance, we don't even know if there are life-hosting worlds in our backyard. Studies here on Earth have shown that microbes can survive in extreme environments, suggesting that microbial life may well exist on Mars, Europa, Enceladus, and the giant Saturn satellite Titan. But we haven't explored any of those worlds nearly well enough to know for sure. The Fermi paradox is thinking much bigger than microbes, however. To solve it, we need to know not only how commonly life evolves on alien planets, but also how often it gains the ability and the desire to communicate with other intelligent life forms or go sailing among the stars. Discussion of unidentified flying objects, or as they have recently been rebranded, unidentified aerial phenomena, was long relegated to society's fringes. The topic was toxic, and many people avoided serious engagement with it out of fear of being branded a crackpot. But that has begun to change in the past few years. Prominent scientists now openly push for serious study of UFOs, and the U.S. Navy recently drew up new guidelines that encourage pilots to report curious or confusing sky sights. People have seen intriguing or confounding objects in the sky for as long as we've been looking up. Over the eons, for example, many different cultures have regarded meteors and comets as supernatural phenomena, or at least processed them through a supernatural lens. These dramatic skylights have been deemed manifestations of a deity's displeasure or interpreted as signs that something wonderful, terrible, or simply consequential is soon to happen. The UFO phenomenon as we know it today is much more recent, dating to the era of powered flight. The first sightings started during World War II when Allied pilots in both the European and Pacific theaters reported seeing puzzling lights or objects in the sky. They called these curiosities Foo Fighters. Then, in June 1947, American businessman and aviator Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 shiny, mysterious crafts zipping through the skies near Washington's Mount Rainier. Some newspaper stories describe these UFOs as flying discs or flying saucers, and the latter term soon wormed its way into the public consciousness. UFO reports surged in the wake of Arnold's sighting, some of them even winding up in the pages of the New York Times. One of the items the Times picked up was the discovery of some seemingly exotic wreckage on a ranch in Lincoln County, New Mexico in 1947. In July of that year, a public information officer at the nearby Roswell Army Airfield described the debris as a flying disc, briefly igniting a firestorm of confused interest. Army officials quickly retracted that statement, explaining that the material in question was the remains of a crashed weather balloon, and the Roswell incident faded into obscurity. The U.S. military, concerned that some of these UFOs might pose a threat to national security, soon began to investigate sightings systematically. The more well-known Project Blue Book got started in 1952 and ran until 1969, examining more than 12,600 UFO reports along the way. One of the sightings Project Blue Book investigated was that of Betty and Barney Hill, who claimed they were captured and examined by extraterrestrials in rural New Hampshire in September 1961. The couple's account started getting picked up by newspapers in 1965, becoming the first ever widely publicized alien abduction story. UFO sightings didn't end when Project Blue Book wrapped up, of course. They've kept on rolling in over the decades. Some of the most famous ones in the past half-century include that of Travis Walton, an Arizona man whose 1975 alien abduction claim was dramatized in the 1993 film Fire in the Sky, the Rendlesham Forest incident, a string of mysterious observations near England's Royal Air Woodbridge Station in December 1980, and the Phoenix Lights, which confused many Arizonans in March 1997. And in November 2004, several U.S. Navy pilots flying off the coast of San Diego reported seeing bizarre craft zooming through the sky, seemingly maneuvering in ways that exceeded the limits of known technology. Other Navy pilots had similar experiences off the U.S. East Coast a decade later, making a series of intriguing observations from June 2014 to March 2015. The pilots captured infrared video of some of these encounters using their onboard camera systems. 3 of these videos went viral in December 2017 when the New York Times published them as part of a blockbuster story about a previously secret military UFO investigating effort called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or ATIP for short. The program ran from 2007 until a funding phase-out in 2012. UFOs are undeniably real. People often see things in the sky that they can't identify, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything exotic going on. For example, the 1947 Roswell debris actually came from a high-altitude balloon lofted by the U.S. military as part of Project Mogul, a secret program that searched for evidence of atomic bomb tests by the Soviet Union. And the 1997 Phoenix Lights were likely caused by high-flying planes and a military flare-dropping exercise. Alien abduction stories are more complicated, as they tend to involve more psychological components. Project Blue Book got to the bottom of the vast majority of the 12,600 sightings it investigated, ascribing most of them to natural phenomena such as clouds, stars, and bright planets. The Air Force researchers could not explain 701 of the encounters, but they concluded that none displayed evidence of otherworldly technology or posed a threat to national security. Still, the ET idea should not be dismissed or ridiculed, as some sightings remain unexplained. UFO spotters raised the alarm after the International Space Station live feed was cut out just as a large mysterious object appeared and tried to dock with the station. Observers state that it is interesting that the video feed was cut off when the UFO seemed to stop. Other enthusiasts put forward different theories, including one who suggested it could be an unannounced rocket from Earth. This is not the first time that UFO hunters have accused NASA of cutting transmission after a mysterious UFO appeared on the live ISS stream. A NASA spokesperson made a statement earlier denying allegations that NASA technicians deliberately shut down transmission when UFOs appear on the live video. According to the spokesperson, NASA never intentionally shuts down live transmission to hide UFOs. Loss of video is usually due to a loss of signal from the ISS. However, observers around the world are not convinced by this statement. As interest in these mysterious phenomena increases, so does the need for more concrete answers. If you like this video, you may also enjoy this one we have for you. Do you think there truly is life on other planets? Let us know in the comments section down below.